Hey everyone, it's Jax again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Today is going to be my episode 11 there. It's going to be the fallout after Dynasty. This show had a lot going on. There was a lot, to be honest with you. Everybody's just trying to get back or get their get back after Dynasty. You did have like a small promo or something to that effect. It might have been recorded at Dynasty, but it was pretty much Moxley and the Death Riders kind of putting the Young Bucks on notice after what happened at Dynasty. Just pretty much saying that they don't know what they're doing there, that they didn't need their help type of deal. Um, you also have, Mox and Shibata had a match. It looks like it was the Death Riders versus the Ops pretty much all day. There was at least, I think, 3 matches, and then one of them was Swerve. But, Shibata and Mox were wrestling. Shibata was getting some strong hits there. I personally don't know about Shibata unless he was with AEW, but everybody seems to like Shibata, his wrestling style, his technique. Um, so Shibata had a match there with Moxley, like typical fashion. The heel's gonna poke the eye or do something crazy to win. So ended up poking the eye and beating Shibata there. Moxley picks up the win, puts the Death Riders up 1-0 for the night. The Young Bucks do come out and they kind of try to talk to Moxley. Moxley kind of rolls out the ring and dips off. And you hear the Young Bucks pretty much say that, they want to have a relationship or a team up, if you will, with the Death Riders. They like what John Moxley was able to do, that even themselves wasn't able to get the AEW title on their side when the Young Bucks were there. Um, uh, to be honest with you, you have a few things going on. The Bucks said they did it to Swerve. They said they have nothing against Swerve, but they did it for their best friend Hangman. So it's kind of making it look like almost like Hangman asked these guys to take care of business for him. Even though, like I kind of said the week before that Hangman kind of had like a change of heart when he was speaking to Swerve when they were arguing in the hallway about, oh, this is all your fault. You're a bad person. He was like, yeah, no. So it's kind of looked like he's going that way. Um, the Bucks were giving Moxley his flowers again, saying, hey, you did what we couldn't do. You were able to take over AEW, hold the championship hostage, something that we couldn't do. Again, Moxley and the Death Riders dip off. You do later during the segment. It was actually a pretty big segment. Then you had Kenny Omega's music hits. The crowd's cheering for him. Kenny's talking about how the Bucks are pretty much garbage. That they try to take him out. Started calling the Bucks like pieces of shit, but called them dookies. Because he doesn't curse. He's very proper. Kenny Omega, I think he does it so the kids don't see him. You know, coming off his face or out of character. So he pretty much calling the Young Bucks dookies multiple times. Um, Says that he's going to come after them. You know, um, he ends up getting into the ring at one point. You see Swerve get in there. Swerve ends up getting there with slides in there with a chair. They end up heading out. Swerve kind of saves Kenny there when Kenny was getting beat down. But it was kind of an awkward exchange with Swerve and Kenny. They look like they don't like each other. I don't know if that's real or if it's just part of the show. But when that segment happened, instead of like the typical, oh man, thanks, dapping them up, like, hey, thanks for saving me. It wasn't even the case. It was just like, hey, I'm out of here. Um, Pac ends up, getting Swerve from behind. They have a match there. You know, Pac always has a great match. Swerve has a good match. They had a good match against each other. There was a time during that match that it looked like Pac was hurt on the outside. Don't know if that was part of the show or if it was intentional. He ended up coming into the ring kind of like limping, and out of nowhere, Swerve just like kicks his head off and then does the double stomp and pins him there. So Swerve wins. The Death Riders are now at a total of 1-1 because I'm kind of counting Swerve and the Ops versus the Death Riders. So right now they're kind of sitting at 1-1 with Swerve taking that one. Um, you had a crazy like 8-man tag. You had Will Ospreay, Speedball, Mark Briscoe, and Kevin Knight versus Ricochet, the Crew, and then the Beast Mortos. They've been pushing Mortos a lot, honestly. He's a pretty big guy for his size. He kind of reminds me of Samoa Joe for his size. He's very athletic, very agile in the ring. So for his size, he's definitely not like a typical luchador. He's kind of big, if that makes sense to anybody. Um, I will say that crazy match. They were going back and forth for a little while. Looked like Ricochet wasn't gonna wrestle. He was kind of like letting all the other guys get, oh no, y'all take care of it, y'all take care of it. And he was hiding, like stretching on the outside, pretty much doing the typical heel thing. Um, Ricochet for sure has been growing in AEW. A lot of people don't like his gimmick right now, but I feel like he's fitting it perfect. Um, he's doing his thing there. I think Ricochet, even though he doesn't have a title right now, is definitely doing his thing for sure in my eyes. Um, there was a part there that they all kind of like hit him, all the Will Ospreay's team hit a move outside the ring, and Ricochet tried to pick his spot again and tried to come and kind of like do his flip onto them. When he flipped out, he did his typical like superhero landing, landed on both feet, and they all kind of like came out and kind of all smacked him on his bald head. So that was pretty funny there. Um, Again, Will Ospreay and his team wins. Kevin Knight in that match looked amazing. Speedball still hasn't shown me much. I wasn't able to catch Dynasty, but Kevin Knight has been doing some shit. He did like a frog splash and in midair turned around, act like he was like bouncing a basketball through his legs and frog splashed on the guy in midair. That to me is crazy. I mean, it is what it is. Um, I will say that it looks like FTR and Adam Copeland there did separate. Kind of saw that coming. I didn't see the Death Riders losing all their titles, if any. Um, there was a time that they looked like they were unstoppable. Rated FTR. It looks like they kind of wrote Adam Copeland out. I know he's filming with Disney in that Percy Jackson show. Not sure if that's what's going on. They're kind of like writing him off. But for right now, it looks like he was carted out. They just destroyed him at Dynasty, took advantage of him after the loss, and pretty much put him on the shelf, it looks like. So we're not going to see Adam Copeland for a while. We'll see how that goes. But definitely broke them up like I thought. I wasn't sure if Cash was going to do it, but looks like he follows suit, stayed with his guy, and then rated FTR heels now, or FTR heels now. Um, there was a few segments, I would say. Chris Jericho had a segment with the learning tree. During that segment there, he was kind of like talking shit, but also kind of making it like a learning, like a learning tree. But like I said, Big Bill, the last couple weeks, he's been looking really pissed. When Jericho, he even said something. He was like, "If you're gonna belittle us, man, we'll go into the back and just listen to this later. We're not gonna sit there and have you, berate us in front of everybody." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm not the only one that feels that way. The bounty hunter feels the same way." And they kind of looked at each other like, "What are you doing, man? Like you throwing me out there?" And then Chris Jericho kind of lost it. He took the bat, started beating on the TV, destroyed it. Says, um, "I want you guys to do better. I want you guys to be better than me. I expected more. I expected more." And just goes kind of ape shit on the TV. Not sure if that was a real TV or not, but he did destroy it. You saw like the LED lights behind it or whatever. Kind of walks off, crazy look in his eye, ends up leaving the arena, keeps breaking shit on the way out. A lot of people are saying Chris Jericho's done with AEW. I honestly doubt that. He's always said he wanted to do commentary with all the shows that, or programs that AEW has. They can put him on somewhere and he could be commentary and kind of grow that brand. So I don't see that happening. Even if he's not going to wrestle, he's going to be a commentator or possibly somebody's manager or something to that effect. You did have Samoa Joe call out the Death Riders after their match. Of course, they kind of they did win that match there. Um, you had a few things there. So Samoa Joe calls out the Death Riders. We're coming for you. We want those titles. Um, the Hurt Syndicate also had a segment there with each other for their celebration. Not sure what they were celebrating for. They're not really. They're an amazing team, but it's kind of a slow build. Like they won the titles fast, but right now it's like a slow build with MJF. They've been kind of using MJF with different people. I guess trying to make MJF kind of a part of the show or stay relevant because he's not in the title picture. So apparently MJF helped the Hurt Syndicate win or retain the AEW titles there. And he came out while they're after their MVP Shelton Benjamin, Bobby were about to celebrate, about to take a little bit of that bubbly there, and then what happens? MJF music comes. He stands next to Shelton Benjamin, all stoic, and man, we look good out here. And Bobby wasn't having it. Bobby's like, "What the hell are you doing out here? We don't want you. We don't need you. We don't need anything a part of you." And this is kind of like what I was saying before. I definitely see something happening there with Bobby Lashley and MJF. Not sure if it's going to be on a pay-per-view. There is a pay-per-view coming up next month in May. So it's very possible it could just trickle into a match with the two of them. Like, hey, if I win, I'm in. But if you win, I'm out type of deal. And then kind of force it that way. They had a vote. MVP was like, hey, we're going to vote for it. I vote yes. And then Shelton looked to the side and he looked at Bobby and he was like, nah, I vote no. And then Bobby was like, well, you know where my vote is pretty much. So it's 2-on-1. So he's not in it. They kick MJ off. He leaves. And it just looks like when they go to the back, they don't celebrate or nothing. They ended up leaving. And then you kind of see Shelton Benjamin kind of change a little bit. Like, man, he's kind of funny, man. We kind of need somebody kind of funny. And Bobby's like, what the hell's going on? So then Bobby dips off. So it looks like Shelton's kind of growing with the idea. I think if they continue this route, they're gonna break up the Hurt Syndicate pretty fast. Kind of like what happened in WWE was less than a year that they were together and they broke up pretty fast, got back together and broke up again. So if they continue this route, I can see them breaking up again. Yes, Bobby's gonna be a dominant force as a singles competitor, but right now you kind of got him being like this monster, this powerhouse with Shelton there, and they're the tag team champions, and you're gonna kind of have MJF kind of screw them over or screw that group over. It's kind of gonna suck. A lot of people might not take them serious if that happens. MJF might try to pull a fast one, but it could be MJF cost them the titles, and that's when he has a feud with Bobby. And I don't see him wrestling well with Bobby. In real life, I think Bobby Lashley would kill his ass. MMA fighter, what, 15, 20 years wrestling or whatever, however many years it is. Definitely see that being a thing. Not sure how long that build's going to be, but it is a slow build to that. I definitely see Bobby Lashley wrestling MJF in the future, or MJF costing them the match or costing them their titles to force that match there. Um, I would say later on in the night, there was also like Thunder Rosa with Chris Statlander. You did have like they're doing like that Owen Hart tournament for the men and women. Like the women started first. I guess AEW kind of heard people saying stop squashing Chris Statlander. They made her look strong against Thunder Rosa in this match, but I kind of feel bad for Thunder Rosa. She's been back for a couple weeks now. Now they're kind of squashing her. It's like they stopped squashing Chris, and now they're squashing Thunder Rosa there. I don't think Thunder Rosa's won in a couple weeks. Similar to what they did to Chris Statlander with Megan Bayne, they were just squashing her left and right. But again, timeless Tony Storm always on commentary talking crazy, oh, those juicy muscles from those girls. She just gets away with, she just speaks so proper. She just gets away with saying some off the wall shit. Um, she just starts almost like flirting with the girls, even though they can't hear her, if that makes sense. Um, I will say there was a promo later or throughout the day that it was like Adam Cole and the Undisputed Dynasty or Undisputed Kingdom, rather. Undisputed Kingdom. This is only with his TNT title over his shoulder. Everybody knew he was going to beat Danny Garcia. Um, it was nice to see Danny Garcia with it, but I don't feel like they did enough with him to show him how dominant he would have been. Um, you see Adam Cole, I definitely see them pushing him for a while. At some point, he's going to win the world title. Definitely see that happening, but it's nice to put a strap on him and then make him work for it. But then they did say something there that I don't know if they're changing their name. I thought they were the Undisputed Kingdom. He talked about the Pariah, so I'm wondering, or the Pentagon. I'm sorry, I think it was the Pentagon. So I'm wondering if that's going to be their new name, or if he was just throwing that out there and see if it stuck. So it's possible that group could have a new name. You haven't seen the other characters or the other guys. It's been those three guys. We'll see how that plays out. You did have something else. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford had a little segment as well. Pretty much, Penelope Ford was talking for Megan Bayne again. She's not a real talker. It looks like they're just trying to make her like a dominant, brooding force. So she wasn't really talking much. But Penelope Ford was pretty much saying, timeless Tony Storm, this isn't over. She's going to get back at you. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Megan Bain's in the tournament as well. So she might be able to get back over there. In the tournament, they also have Mercedes Moné, if I'm not mistaken, and she's going to end up facing Amber Moon. So I definitely see that happening. It kind of makes sense when she was beating up on her protege or whatever. But this is like what I was saying. Mercedes Moné might be five strap Mercedes Moné. She might end up being the one to take the title from Tony Storm and then relinquish the TNT title and keep moving from there. Um, Megan Bain, during that Penelope Ford, though, segment, out of nowhere, she pretty much stopped and said, I'm going to make you bow down type of deal. And then Penelope Ford was like, you did it now, trying to say like, she don't talk and now you got her talking. So y'all done for, it's over. Um, Definitely building there. Pretty much a fallout, like I said at the beginning of the thing, fallout of Dynasty. Pretty decent episode. Nothing crazy for me. Nice episode. They're building again, slow build with MJF and Bobby Lashley. I hope somebody could take the title from Moxley. I was hoping it was this weekend, didn't happen. We'll see how that plays out. But it looks like Moxley's going to have the title for a while. Not sure who's going to come after him or who is going to be in the tournament to go after him. It might be Will Ospreay. Right now, he doesn't have a title, and he's also in the tournament. I think he's in the semifinals right now. So he could be one of the ones, but it could also be the person who Adam Hangman Adam Page is wrestling because he's got a wild card. So we don't know who that person is. So it's possible they could knock out Page and then move into the next round and just run it to the championship to go against Moxley later on. We'll see how it plays out, guys. Again, this is Jax from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Have a great one.